was walking around the middle of campus, and a lady named Sarah Goldberg was standing in the middle of campus saying, "Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish?" And I said, "Yes."
So I reluctantly came over there. I've never asked if I've been Jewish in my life, surprisingly.
And I said, yes, and he said, come to Israel. And I said, whoa, I don't know you.
I heard about JAM through Rabbi Fleschel, who's the rabbi at Santa Barbara.
Growing up, I was Jewish because my parents were Jewish, and that's about it.
My religious background was non-existent.
I grew up very secular with basically no Judaism in my background.
I had in mind that being very religious would limit me as to what I could do. I'd have to keep, traditions and observe and spend a lot of time focusing on religion, and that I felt that would take away from the rest of my life, but I'm learning that it's only going to add.
I had my bar mitzvah because my parents said to have that, and then you don't ever have to go again.
I don't think we've ever held Shabbat.
The first time I went to the rabbis was a scary experience for me because it was my first observant Shabbat.
And I went, and to put it bluntly, it changed my life forever.
When I sit down the Shabbats here in Israel with the families, it's this process where you are so appreciative and you say these prayers that are just, it makes you stop and step back and realize that this is a meal that's given to you.
Basically every Friday night I head over to the Garfinkel's right after work, and it's such a great experience because for one thing you get great food, obviously. There's good conversation, a ton of college students hanging out.
One of the best parts about the Shabbat lunch is the singing.
Coming from LA, you don't exactly see a lot of happy families, and not only were these families happy, but they loved spending time with each other. They were talking to each other and playing, even the fathers were playing with the children.
I spent Shabbat with 4 different families, and they were all wonderful people, and I just admired them to no end. The relationships that these people had with each other were so warm, and some of the most healthy, friendly, warm relationships I've ever seen. And that was very touching to see that, because in a secular society, you don't always see that.
We got very close. I got very close with his wife and his children, and started learning with him 1 hour each week.
I love Rabbi Zarek.
Rabbi Zarek makes me feel like I'm in good hands, and that I'm going in the right direction.
They kept inviting me to events. They didn't forget about me at all, which was really nice.
It's having the Garfinkels as my second, surrogate mom and dad.
I found that I was able to ask questions and grow more. And at first I was resistant because I was trying to find flaws in it, because I grew up with this sort of mindset of that Orthodoxy was a very distant world and something that was just not what I wanted. But what I found was that it was exactly what I wanted.
There was people that didn't exactly come from a really religious background who still found a connection to Judaism, and I thought that was something that I could really relate to.
You have the cream of the crop of UCLA students, other University of California students, and they come here and it's education like nothing we've ever tasted before.
You really see what it means to be a Jew, and it's inspirational to meet people that you see are good and healthy and live fulfilling lives.
A few years ago, I would have never imagined I'd be sitting in the Holy Land in Jerusalem and in a seminary and learning about this religion that's very much a part of myself, but that was never really released, I guess.
I feel kind of nerdy because I like the classes more than a lot of the tours, but it's a very meaningful experience for me, and I'm hoping now I can just stay longer.
One of the more powerful experiences on the trip was visiting a yeshiva for young students, and they demonstrated their full understanding and full memorization of the Mishnah, which is the oral law, which was extremely inspiring and motivational. If these little kids can memorize the whole Mishnah, maybe I can do a little part and study some Mishnah.
JAM Israel was a very life-altering trip for me. I have to learn and to keep mitzvot, that it's not just a nice fluffy thing that you can sometimes do when you feel like having a Shabbat meal, but that it was important to observe and to really grow and work on yourself.
The trip has given me so much knowledge, more than I've learned about Judaism for sure in my entire life.
First day that I got here, I learned more about Judaism than I had in my entire life, and that's the truth.
I think I'm going to keep Shabbos completely.
It's been absolutely incredible. I'm becoming more observant.
This JAM trip has definitely made me consider coming to Israel and learning in a yeshiva.
Eventually have a family where I could have a similar type of Shabbat. I think it's really rewarding. I think it just is very satisfying to have that type of family relationship.
What I feel from the heart, I'm going to let it happen.
Now I'm Shomer Shabbos and hopefully becoming observant.
Decided to stay for another month to extend my trip and continue my learning.
I think when I go back to Los Angeles, I'm going to keep my yarmulke on and try my best to keep the Sabbath.
People, whatever happens, even up to this point, it's changed my life forever.